everyone. Thank you for being here. The idea of these meetings is to read The Hobbit. It would be great to read all the book together, but that would be a little bit long, and we can't meet every week. That is why we have, made some blocks. We have made just, I think, 6 sessions for to finish with the book The Hobbit. This first session is about the first 3 chapters. So we're going to read here, but the idea is that we continue reading the rest of the month, at least these 3 chapters. More or less, this is the quantity that we are going to read, and we can, communicate and talk and interact with any doubts, any comments, anything that we want to share about the Hobbit. We are going to go over some little points of vocabulary and pronunciation, just so to tell you my personal experience is that I read The Hobbit in English for the first time 3 years ago. And there is a lot of vocabulary I didn't know and I don't know. So it's impossible to look for every word that you don't know. But we're going to go over some words that we see there. And then I've had the opportunity of reading in English with other people. So I would like to help you with some parts of pronunciation we usually have problems with because we are Spanish speakers. So the first part of this meeting, we are going to practice a little bit vocabulary, a little bit pronunciation. And then the second part of the meeting, we are going to read. We're going to take turns reading The Hobbit from the beginning. Yes, it's true. So for us, it's difficult to read in English, but it's easy to read in Elvish, in Quendi, in Sindarin, and all those beautiful languages, because there are always pros and cons. So, okay. So did I put a link? I sent a link to the Kahoot. Did you see it? Did you enter?
Yes.
Please join. I have 2 people. Brian is not praying, he's playing. Chat, enter, please. Participate. Thank you. There's Kathy. Oh, great. Okay, I'm going to share it. Someone else there that is going to enter. Okay. We have some questions, but they are easy. Jeff, how about you? Leslie, Rennie, who is an N? Norway.
Yep.
Steven? It is to practice some vocabulary for The Hobbit. We're going to read The Hobbit, Leslie. Come. Also, Norway, can you please, can you please send the Zoom link to the STP chat?
I sent it.
What? You did it?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And to Middle Earth also. Okay. Let's do Please have questions, have practice. What we're going to do today is this, to think about which are the most and the least common words in chapters 1 to 3 of The Hobbit. How are we going to do this? I'm going to put some true or false questions and then some pronunciation tips also for these words that we can apply to other words. Okay? So, first question. Dwarves is one of the 10 most common words in chapters 1 to 3 of The Hobbit. I was trying to get some information from not Chad, but Chat GPT. It wasn't always accurate, but more or less, it helped a little. 50% said true, 50% said false. What do you think? Norway goes first. Yes, dwarves is such a common word. The Hobbit is about dwarves. So how do we pronounce this word?
What's the plural of dwarf? Dwarves. To do this, you're going to change the F to a V and add a Z. Dwarves. Dwarves, dwarves, dwarves.
Well, Thorin and company, they are dwarves, which is the plural of dwarf in Tolkien. Oh, there's an echo code. So you didn't hear that well? Should I play it again?
What's the plural of dwarf? Dwarves. To do this, you're going to change the F to a V and add a Z. Dwarves. Dwarves, dwarves, dwarves.
Was that better? Okay, great. So this is not such a common word, but it's one of the 10 most common words in not only in these chapters, but in the entire book. But it's interesting because it has a kind of pronunciation that is not easy for us because we see W-A and we want to say wa, and this is o, dwarves. Well, dwarf or dwarves, but I don't do British very well. Yes, there's a whole story about changing it because the normal dwarf is with an S, but Tolkien said it would be with FS and it would be VS. Okay, so also well, maybe you don't know, I teach English, so sometimes I see that when we see as Spanish speakers the DW, we pronounce do, and it's not do, no, it's just do together. So dwarf, not dwarf, no, but do. So this is what I wanted to show you here.
When you're saying these two sounds together in a cluster, you don't want a little vowel to jump in between them. So it's not dwa, it's dwa.
Yeah, so it's dwarves, not dwarves, no, dwarves. And I put here some other words that we will see in the book. Dwarf, the singular, dwarves, the plural, dwarvish, the adjective. And yes, phonetically, labiovelar, because you're using both sounds. And also dwelling, the dwarf. Labiodental, yeah, Okay. Also, as I mentioned before, W-A-R, or W-A-R particularly sounds wo in English. I laugh because today is May the 4th, be with you, and everybody says Star Wars, and it's Star Wars, right? Wars. The same as dwarves, war. So here I have some pronunciation in British and American English for you to hear.
War. They've been at war for the last 5 years.
War. They've been at war for the last 5 years.
So British will be war, they don't pronounce the R, and American will be war. Oh, really? Because he spelled it like it sounded. That's what you mean. Cool. And some other words that have this this combination are the words warm, warriors. Okay, war that we will see in the book. Okay, another question for you. The word flummoxed is one of the 10 most common words in chapters 1 to 3 of the Hobbit. What do you say? It's false. Flummox is in general not a very common word in English. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. But it's not a very common word in The Hobbit, although I would say it's more or less famous because of the way it was used. We never say it.
Yeah, we never ever.
Oh, okay, we don't say. Okay, you don't say it.
we don't say flummoxed ever.
But it's Tolkien, so he did. So what does it mean? It means that you are surprised. He used it to describe how Bilbo felt. So I wanted to use this opportunity to remind you of a typical challenge. I made a mistake here. A typical challenge of final ED pronunciation. Flummoxed, not flummoxed. Yes, flummoxed. What is or the rule that we don't get as a Spanish speakers, that we want to add an additional syllable, like flummox, flummoxed. But in English, we don't do that. We only do it in one case. If the verb, because this is for a verb that transforms into the past or past participle, if the verb ends in T or in D, we have to add a syllable because it's the same sound. We have seen the tinko tema and the what's the name of the tengua for the
It's still in the tinko tema, but T
the tinko
and ando.
and ando.
Yeah.
So the t and the d are the same sound, except that the t is voiceless and the d is the voiced. So when we have these two sounds that are basically the same position of the mouth, we need to add a syllable. So the past of want is wanted. We do add a syllable. The past of need is needed. So we add a syllable, but only in that case when we had a T or a D at the end. In all the other cases, we don't add a syllable. We only add the last sound, whether it's voiceless or voiced, basically whatever it comes out naturally. So for example, if the verb is live, that ends in the sound v, live, the past will be lived. No, leave it. No, we don't add a vowel. We just add the consonant sound, so we don't add a syllable. Live, lived. In this case, flummox, flummoxed, just like that. I should have put other examples here, but we will practice when we read. So when we read, pay attention to verbs in the simple past, if you have to pronounce this additional syllable or not. Okay, another question, true or false? Set is one of the 10 most common words in chapters 1 to 3 of The Hobbit. The word set. Okay, excellent. Well, it is a very common word in general, so especially when we're narrating something, somebody said something, but it is a word that is challenging to read. I'm guessing also for English speakers when I yes, Fernando, come over. Because AI doesn't usually sound but in this case it does. So it's a particular sound. And this is the simple past too, but it's an irregular verb. So I wanted to remind you of how we pronounce this verb in its three most common forms. That would be it.
The verb to say. I say, you say, we say, they say. Has the A as in say diphthong. A, say. But in the third person you add an S, and the diphthong changes to the vowel. He says, she says. So here it is the as in bed sound, and the final S is pronounced as a Z. He says, she says, I say. The vowel is also used in the past tense of the word, said. So it is the S sound, the as in bed vowel, and the D sound. Said, said. I said, you said, he said, she said, we said, they said.
So we will say this verb a lot. So it's say, says, and said. True or false? Parapet is one of the 10 most common words in chapters 1 to 3 of The Hobbit. Laura said. I didn't get it. False. Yeah, it's not a common word in general, again. So it's not one of the 10 most common words. I put a picture there of a bridge. I didn't know what it was, so I had to look it up too. It's just what the border of it, right? What stops you from falling when you are crossing a bridge or something. A parapet. Okay. I think there's one more question. Before we start reading. It's the pronunciation of parapet. I didn't mute myself. I muted this side. Sorry.
Parapet.
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 There we have it. Yeah, not a super common word, but we will see it in the chat. A parapet is also the jagged top of a castle wall where the archers could hide and fire arrows. Yeah. Gildor says that it is a common word in Spanish because he said that it was the same meaning as in Spanish, but I didn't know the meaning. Maybe it's common for you, but it's not common for me. I don't know. I don't know what it means. Seriously. In Spanish. Okay. Last question. Are you ready to read it? The answer has to be only one correct answer. As Bilbo would say it. No, and yes. And yes and no. Okay, let's do it. Oh, who was the winner? NN, anonymous. Chat, you were second. You didn't win. Hilder. Good. Okay. That was it. Questions before we start reading?